All right. Hey, it's Jeremy from Jeremy.net, a comic book artist, writer, self-publisher, creator, and I share my creative process here with you online. Except when I share the creative process of my good friends and pals, like my buddy Dan Plegel. Hey, Dan, how is it going?
It's going good, friend.
It's good to see you. So the occasion that we have here is we're here to hang out and talk about Dan's Indiegogo campaign for his comic, Dan Plegel's The Goblin Girl. Let me.
That's right, friend.
The page here, and I gotta tell you, looking at this, I'm super impressed and proud of you, man. Because I thought, we get him on, give him a little boost, try to spread the word. You are already 197% funded.
Yes, indeed.
And I mean, I'll tell you, for the folks watching, I'll tell you what that means. That means it's the hot business. Because the hot business is what almost doubles its funding goal. And you still got 7 days left to back. So, I mean, this campaign, I backed it the other day just so I could or I backed it today because I realized why I've been waiting. Why am I waiting to get on there? But, just get on there just so I can have the share link being a backer.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, we'll go through. We'll get into the pledges and all the different stuff that we have here. But let me just bring up the cover to the comic, and Dan, if you don't mind, just give us the overview of what Goblin Girl is about.
Goblin Girl is a fantasy adventure book that's kind of it's a little bit on the tongue-in-cheek, like, dark side. It's not 100% like an old school, like, happily ever after sort of fantasy tale. I designed it intentionally that way. The main character is all boobs up front, but she is more or less like an Elvira caricature in a fantasy world. So there's no like sexuality or like nudity in this in the sense of like pornography. It's mainly like anything you would see watching an Elvira show, you're going to get in this. So it's got lots of monsters.
It's like a nice PG-13.
A little bit R. It goes into a hard R a little bit. But yeah, it's just a fun, like, throwback fantasy adventure book, really, with kind of like twists on. There's some like in the sense of like Game of Thrones a little bit, because like that really like I feel like that there's something else besides Game of Thrones, but Game of Thrones kind of did throw a whole twist on how to tell like a fantasy story that's like kind of like The Witcher and all these other things where it's not going to go all the time the way you think. Like, you might think you see the paradigm, but the paradigm might not be what you think it is. And there's a lot of that in there. But at the same time, I'm trying to also deliver something that should be more or less satisfying and entertaining for an audience, so that's not so jarring that it's like, let's take one of the most beloved characters by the fans and bludgeon him to death with a baseball bat halfway through our book.
You know what? That does not sound like wuss behavior. I see one of your boys in the chat, Hockey, was calling you out, said Dan Plegel seems like kind of a sus. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a sus move, taking out murking people's favorite characters. So you're playing hardball with it. So who is Goblin Girl? What's her backstory? Tell me a little bit about her.
Goblin Girl is at the moment she is a child born unto the Goblin Kingdom. There was a great cataclysm, and it either killed off or it sent most of magical, either evil or good things, into hibernation. And the goblins were the only things that were kind of left, like almost like cockroaches that went around and scavenged everything. And they've built this sort of fiefdom. And then then they became jealous within themselves and had a huge war. And the red ash goblins were the ones that won out, and they're more devilish in nature. They actually have horns and stuff. And so they became like kind of the Sopranos, like godfathers of the goblin people. They laid dominance. and the Goblin King ended up having 13 children, and the sixth child of the 13 was unlike the others. It was the one pink penguin within all the black ones, and it was found most hideous, which was the Goblin Girl. To look upon her would be to lose your sight in the Goblin world, as they say. She's kind of like the Medusa to them. So they took her as a baby because she was so cute by our standards, and like locked her away in a dungeon, never to be seen by anybody. But since she is royalty by birth, there is a little bit of like, well, we can't kill her, so they're like, we'll just contain her so nobody sees her. And so they locked her up. They got the guy who was like the greatest goblin warrior of them all to basically take care of her. So it's his job to make sure she's fed, that she stays locked away, and everything. And that's this dude Rathul, who's on the cover right behind her. And so for many years, he took care of her. He did all it was, in a way, it was an unnatural thing to do, because in the Goblin world, children are like sea turtles or other things in nature. Like, they're birthed from the womb and they kick them out. And if they don't get eaten and they're able to like grow, then they'll live. If not, they'll die. They're not per se taken care of. So this kind of weird, unnatural bond within the Goblin world has changed her and Rathul fundamentally mentally, because he kind of caretaked for her. So he learned to kind of love her as a child. And so she's kind of like his daughter now, in a way. And at a certain point, there was a mage goblin foretold that there was a prophecy that she was gonna come of age and kill them all. So they said, "Oh, we can't have that." So they sent Rathul down to rub her out. Like, just go down there, chop her head off, bring us back the horns, so that we know she's dead. Like, because we can't have this business. So he goes down there. Of course, he can't go through with it because he's emotionally tied to her, and he's thinking, well, if I set her free and she goes to the upper world, we don't have to worry about it. We won't see her again. So he does that, but then, of course, she starts thinking on the way out, like, well, this is bullshit. Why should I have to leave? And so she comes in and fulfills the prophecy.
Damn! No, wait. Are you giving spoilers? Are you giving away the goose? Or is this all stuff that happens like in the opening parts of the story?
It does. It opens. This is information that happens in the first 20 pages or so of the book. Damn. So that's kind of the catalyst for the story. And eventually, and like towards the end of the book, we meet some other characters that are eventually going to join up with her as sort of like a misfit band of like 18 people in the wastelands of this fantasy world. And so there's a couple other guys in the back that we're introduced to, and then so this first book is really a setup to who these characters are that we're going on the journey with.
Oh, cool.
And a majority of it's spent with Goblin Girl, obviously, because she's the lead, and her story is a little bit more involved. The other guys, their stories are going to evolve as the book goes along. Like, we're going to learn about them as she kind of learns about them. So there's that.
It looks like your cheerleaders have popped in. Is cheering for you.
Yeah. I've made a lot of good friends on the YouTube streams and the chats. So I've gotten a lot of support. I honestly, when I launched this, I had some people like, see, because you meet all these people and you're like, they kind of, after a couple years of talking with them, a lot of them become kind of like new friends, like good friends. And everybody's like going, oh yeah, I can't wait for this. I want this. And you're thinking, you're like, yeah, like you want this. Like my personal family wants this. You know what I mean? Like, your friends are always going to say, dude, this looks awesome. Like, I can't wait for this to happen. And you want to buy it. And it's, you don't always know, like, for sure if the thing is really good or if you're really good and the people believe in you. And you know, and I'm sure you probably in the beginning when you were doing your giant megaliths of books that you've been working on, there was probably a little bit of that, I imagine.
Dude, to this day, I still think that I'm just better at selling Morningstar than it is it actually being a great story, but I'm glad the people who have read it have enjoyed it. So,
well, no, like Morningstar is like, I was just talking to my colorist before we came over here, and I said, and I know this is aside from Goblin Girl, but anybody watching this that has shown up because I shared the link or whatever, and you don't know Jeremy, you should really follow Jeremy. He is like a craftsman. He is like the when Jeremy creates a book, there's a lot of people who create a book. Like I create a book just from the sense of like, I think it would be funny to see this, and I draw this thing. Jeremy crafts a thing like soup to nuts, like with the intention that everything has a purpose. Like every line that he puts down has a reason, and if it doesn't have a reason, he'll find a way to redo it so that it makes sense within the context of the overall narrative. Like Watchmen, I think, is the closest thing that I can think of that is crafted in the way that Jeremy crafts books.
Now that's blasphemy, my friend.
It's not blasphemy because I've watched you work and I've seen the stuff, and I'm going to tell the people that are here that may not have been here before today that you, sir, are a craftsman of your craft. Like you put a lot more thought into what is going on than I do. Like I just go, it'd be funny to see this guy's flesh melt off his face, so I'm just going to draw this on this panel. But Jeremy's like, yes, but is there a purpose between the way it's melting? Does it fall into a crevice and become another zygote, and then soon it will return to avenge the fallen melted-faced man? I don't know, maybe.
Dude, well, I appreciate the praise. It's truly heartfelt. But you know what? But Indie Wrestling Ace is in there. Let's bring the attention back to the real goal here. You know, he says, let's get Goblin Girl to 10K already. I mean, folks, we're at what is it? 9,867. So people, it's like $2, $40. Get in on this and get this campaign over to 10K.
That would be awesome.
You know, so I mean, okay, this is the thing. I have yet to dip my toe, my cowardly ass toe, into the crowdfunding scene. Everyone keeps saying the water's fine.
Yeah, you should do it. Whether it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and I know my Indiegogo people are going to be like, but I'm telling you right now, either one is good.
Well, so what was the journey from you completing this book to, because I mean, I know you've been working on it for a long ass time. So what was the journey from completing that to saying, all right, how am I going to get this out to my fans? Am I going to get this out to people?
I'm still trying, to be fair, I'm still trying to get it out to my fans because I have a huge following on Instagram that I don't even think they even know the book. I mean, I advertise there, but I still think they don't know it exists. It is very, the hardest thing is getting people that would be your fans to know the thing exists to buy the thing. So a lot of that is just networking with whoever will talk to you, whoever will have you on or hang out with you, or whoever will share your link and get that going. For some people though, like building the thing is definitely the hard part for them. So I don't know what to say about that, just because, I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes for me, it's to do storytelling visually. It's kind of like breathing. I just kind of get in. Then I have like I have the movie playing on a loop in my head, and I just kind of like, I open the door into that room where the movie's playing on loop, and I just get in there and I wait for the moment, and then I'm like, okay, that's it, and then I put it on the page. So the creative element for me is not as heavy. I mean, I've taken on some co-conspirators with me on this book to get it fully put together, but yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just trying to get people to know you exist, and from that angle, I did a lot of fan art and stuff, and I had a few friends like Dan Frega. I've been on his stream a couple times, and I met a lot of people through his show. that I ended up staying friends with, and then I ended up spending more time with them because Dan was gone for a year being sick and doing other stuff. So, but right now it's like I'm more or less everything. I'm kind of I'm promoting myself wherever I can. So that's pretty much where that is, I guess. I don't know, unless you wanted to, I don't know. I feel like I've yammered on somewhere and I've gone off on a tangent.
No. I mean, you know how it is. I like to keep things loosey goosey, easy peasy.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I really was curious, specifically in terms of even just assembling the campaign, choosing what tiers you want to have and what rewards.
Okay.
I mean, that whole thing, it's like some people just come out and it's like, well, I just want to make A, B, and C, and they make A, B, and C. Some people, and usually people who have done multiple campaigns,
this will give you
strike.
Yeah, this will give you a small idea. I basically, it's gonna sound bad. I made the mailing list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was with like a few pieces of like sample art that I thought was going to be more or less in the story. Some of it ended up getting pushed because initially I thought I was going to do a 100-page book.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started doing the math with the colorist that I wanted, I didn't necessarily not believe in the book that it was going to make a good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came down to like knowing what I was going to have to pay somebody to color it,
mm-hmm.
I kind of had to like scale the book back a little bit. So I did that, which has kind of been good a little bit because now it's like, I mean, I could have kept going and I could have had the 100 pages done, but I was really only at about like 55 pages by the time I decided to launch. Like I had that many pages drawn, and then I more or less finished them all. There's just 2 pages that aren't done because they're like a drawn in tier thing or whatever. So I had to leave it open because I got to draw 4 people in there.
Oh, by the way, what is the page count again? Let me scroll back up here.
It should be somewhere around 64 pages, I think, of story.
Mm-hmm.
But the title itself is going to be around 80.
Mm-hmm.
If somehow by some miracle, it keeps chugging along, we might add a few more story pages.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're at a point where it's a good stopping point for the story. So that's a maybe. But yeah, so like right now I'm thinking we're looking at 64, and then overall it's going to be 80 because we're going to have like a back section with like, because I redrew the cover like 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Your boy Billy Basco's in there. 64 pages. The Dan keeps adding more pages.
Yes, I have added more pages. I even redrew one of the early pages, which like Billy's like, like, stop, I'm about to color these pages.
Well, you know, Dan, you've seen my process. You know how many pages I go back and redraw. Billy would have chopped my head off if he was working.
Yes, agreed. That's the thing that's funny is everybody looks at me like, oh, Dan redrew the book again, or Dan drew a new book this week. Like, they need to watch your live streams. Yours are even crazier than mine with the redraws. It's like, it's insane. But I mean, at the end of the day,
I've done whole videos where I set the page that I originally did, and then I do the one that was the change, and I talk about how long I went through and all the things why it led to the decision, and the people are like, "Yeah, you're crazy." But yeah, that changed page does look a hell of a lot better. So it was
yes. Yeah, that's when I get a page and it doesn't look better than the one before it, that's when I will be like, okay, I'm overthinking this. But as long as they keep looking better, I don't care. I'm going to change them. But,
he says 80 pages with extras, but the extras keep getting thinner and the story pages are getting
thinner. Are getting thinner. Yeah. True.
Well, this is the thing. We're asking about, we're getting into your process. What kind of stuff do you have in the extras in the back of the book?
Well, I'm going to have, as far as the extras in the back of the book that I'm thinking about doing, you mean? Or
yeah, just whatever whatever the additional content beyond the actual 60 pages of story.
Okay, well, there's going to be early iterations of Goblin Girl. Like I have some of like the earliest stuff. There's just she's changed a lot since I initially designed her.
Mm-hmm.
And then so there's gonna be that. There's gonna be a gallery of alternate covers because, like I said, I've redrawn the cover about 4 or 5 times. And part of that is because I kept going back and forth with the volume of the book, because there's stuff on certain versions of the cover that didn't make it into this book because we didn't get that far into the storyline. So there's little things that have been taken out. But so I have that. There's the drawn in tier. There's some people that I'm putting into the book as characters in this one scene, and I'm as part of their tier. They get a 11 by 17, if you turn it sideways, like character sheet of them standing next to the Goblin Girl for scale, and then like maybe some expressions, turnarounds, of their characters, like a model sheet. I'm going to be putting those in the back of the book. I've got some other designs for some of the characters in the book. Those will be going in the back. So it'll be a lot of that stuff. I don't know if all the excise pages will be going in there. I think some of those I may save for something else down the line, like a big art edition or something. So, because I'm thinking about doing like a artist edition type deal with just the art, like an
oversized, like just your black and white tradition. Your pages has to come hot off the board.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna have that.
That thing that you mentioned with people getting turnarounds, what tier is that? Because that actually sounds really cool.
That is the drawn in tier, which is that one right there at the bottom, drawn in and Goblin's chest. So that gets you an original 11 by 17 character design sheet of your character with the Goblin Girl. And then everything that's in the Goblin's chest, which we couldn't even label everything that's going to be in there because they only let you put 10 things on the list.
What?
Then, yeah, you get 10 items, and then that's it. That's all you're allowed to describe in the thing. So we're working on a graphic that's going to go at the bottom of the thing that as we add new stuff, like we'll add it to the image. But yeah, I tried to do a little bit of that with that little graphic, but a lot of people are going, it's too small. I can't tell what's going on.
Now, the Goblin's chest, I mean, yeah, it looks like there's a ton of stuff in here. This tier does not look like it is capped. It doesn't look like it's limited, is it?
It's really not, but I don't think so. I thought I had 100, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Put it this way: if I was to sell like 300 of these, fine, sell 300 of them. Because at that price, yeah, like I'll make it happen. But like, I don't see any reason to cap that because I'm not like, because it's kind of like the best case, worst case scenario. You sell 2,000 of them. You sold 2,000 of those. Like you'll figure out how to make them happen. So I'm not as worried about that angle. I mean, like if I have to do those goblin bust sketches, like 200 of those, I'll get them done and mailed out in a timely manner. But
well, you know what? It looks like since we're getting into the nitty gritty of your campaign, let me scroll back to the top, and now let's spotlight the actual individual tiers and talk.
Alrighty, there's a lot. It looks like there's a lot, but there's really only a couple because we had some issues with shipping that we were trying to make
good. The rest of the world. All right, so the featured tier is all the books and the original Goblin Girl reprint.
Yes, which you might even have one of these, which is this floppy.
I do, sir. I do. You know what?
Yeah, you're one of the 25.
On my bookshelf.
You're one of the 25 rare people that have one. So, but yeah, we're gonna do a reprint of that.
I have 2 bookshelves that I have for like comics from friends, and if it's not on this one, you must be on the other one. So yeah, it's not on this side, but it's. I do have that. I remember when you gave it to me. And I was proud to see it, and I'm proud to own it.
When we were doing convention, I was like, I need to have a book. Jeremy's got a book. was like, I'll draw this Goblin Girl thing real quick, so I have something on the table while I'm sitting there like a fool.
That greater legends have started with simpler inspiration. So you've got the original one, you've got the current reprint in the featured tier.
In the featured tier, we have the book in color as well as black and white. Same book, same story. The only thing that's a little different is there might be some different color effects in the color version that might not be in the black and white. And vice versa. The black and white is kind of a different visual experience, really, between the two.
I see my buddy Trevor's in here. He says needs a Tata's tier. You know what, Trevor? Every tier is a Tata tier when it comes to goblins.
That would be the Goblin's chest tier. That one comes with the mouse pad with the giant like wrist rest or boobies. So, which is the graphic that's on the tier there to the left. That's just like a chest shot. Like it's in all of them. It's just her.
Oh, that's what this. Okay, I was wondering
that,
if that was
that would be the mouse pad. That's going to be the mouse pad, and it'll have the Goblin Girl logo above the horns on the pad.
Okay, you know what? Hang on. Let me go back over here to the main page because I don't think okay. See, when I saw this, I didn't see any descriptive text underneath, so I thought it was just a pin.
You got to be careful with this image if you do a thumbnail, because evidently people get their thumbnails taken down if you use the cleavage shots of her of any kind.
They don't register the fact that the nipples are covered.
Yeah, I think they just see cleavage and they hate it. It's like it's just like that's the other thing is like I see all these books like going like advertising on Facebook and Instagram. I can't advertise my book if it has any sort of boob window, like any sort of cleavage. They're like, nah, not on our platform, sir.
Well, when I made the thumbnail, I made it so that it was kind of like well, here I'll just zoom up. I kind of made it like this.
Yeah, that you probably will get away with that, maybe.
Well, if it doesn't, then I can just go back and use your name. I'll tell you this: when it comes to the next volume, Trevor had a great suggestion. Yours to use or ignore at your peril. But he said to name all the tiers in cup sizes.
Yes, I would have done that. I was trying to figure out a way to do something like that with this one, but it was very confusing based on what I was designing already to do that. It was weird. We were talking about that like having the little like chests, because I made these two little chests. There was one that's open and one that's closed for the stretch goals, which we keep meaning to get on it, but I have like only certain days off, and it's like it's been difficult to get together to like kind of get the stuff together, and the thing keeps pushing past goals like randomly very quickly, and it's like oh well, we got like 900 still to go before we get to like whatever, and then like we go away for a day, and then all of a sudden like everybody decides to buy that day, and it's like it goes over, and then we're like was it terrible problem, great problem? You know, it's like
first world problems. Well, you know what? I want to put a pin in both of those. So I want to continue with the with going through the tiers, but I do want to come back to actually talking about your stretch goals and how you space them out, and then also talking about balancing running a campaign with, you know, working a day job, because you and I, we do the same thing. We're both working day jobs, busting our butts, you know, and then got to come home and make art in the evening. And I would say that that's actually been the number one thing that's held me back from launching a crowdfunding campaign, is that everyone tells me it's like having a full-time job, and I don't even have enough time to make art with the full-time job I have. So the fact I am in awe of you and proud that you've been so successful as your friend. I'm proud, but the fact that you've been able to do all of this, you know, in the midst of still, you know, holding down your job, making the donuts, getting the bills paid.
Yeah, I would say, should I go into that right now, like kind of the balancing, or do you want to?
Let's go through the rest of the goals first.
Okay, let's go through the goals. So this first one is all in. It's the color and the black and white of the new book, as it is the new story, the Goblin Girl story. Then there's going to be a pencil art book, which is going to be like just sketches that I've done or drawings that I've done of stuff that are just pencil. So there's no inking in it. and then there's going to be a copy of the facsimile of the original Goblin Girl book, which is kind of the story that's in the book, but some elements are a little bit changed. The art is all new. I would say the original Goblin Girl book is kind of like an overview thing of the book. Like it's like a previously on Goblin Girl, as if you were attaching that to the second book as like a catch up, because it's mainly narration and stuff like that. And then next up is we have the color only, and then the black and white only as their own individual tiers at $30. All of these, though, you can itemize them, and if you wanted one of these and then wanted one of the original Goblin Girl books or whatever, you could do that. You can make your own thing with the add-ons in the add-on section once you click in to start purchasing. So we have that. I think the shirt is even in there available. The only thing the shirt's not available to is as overseas, because somebody was saying there was some sort of weird issue with shipping shirts overseas or something. I don't know what it was, but I have to look into that. I might make it available to the other things. But
by the way, some more love from the chat. Emilio's Comics says cool looking comic. I hope I pronounced that right.
Thank you.
Oh wait, no. Now see, this is interesting to me. I noticed here you've got the Down Under color perk, and I know that there is a strong contingent of crowdfunding creators and backers in Australia, and getting books to them has just been so goddamn hard.
Well, I've gotten lucky. I've gotten lucky with that. If you end up having a large contingency of Down Under people that you need to get stuff to, I've got a guy.
You got to hook up.
I can hook you up with that is a good dude that will make sure they get to the right people. Because basically, I was gonna do the foreign market. Like on the initial one, the main one, the featured one. There is a thing on there for worldwide that's like, I think it's like $30, I think, for shipping. And a lot of the other people are like, oh man, that's like as much as the book. I don't know if I can afford that. Like, that's a lot. And I had talked to this friend of mine in Australia that said that he's like the hockey right there. That would be
thank you, hockey. Thank you for making his Australian dreams.
Yes, hockey would be your connect if you want to get distributed in Australia. He'll handle it for you, and he gets it down pretty reasonable. So
you're a good man, hockey.
Yeah. So he said that he would be willing to to dole them out to the people locally, and it saved me. I think it saved me about $20 per item per person. So that was a good amount. So, but like as it stands right now, like it would depend on how many we sold to Australia would be what gets sent there.
By the way, one thing I realized at the top of the campaign, I don't think I made it a point of calling out that the very first comment in the chat should be the link to the Kickstarter campaign, and if not, the description for the video. There's a link to the not Kickstarter, for the Indiegogo campaign. The link for the Indiegogo campaigns in the kicks is in the chat. It's in the description for the video. If you're watching right now, go click that shit. Get this thing over 10K. Just mid-roll ad. Just push right there. I realized I didn't specifically make the call to action as the marketers say.
Okay.
So let's
you made the call to action by having me on, though. So like you're already there.
You know what? You can't half step with this shit. You can't.
It's true.
So of course people who are ordering from Australia, they have the option, both the
color
and the gray tone version.
Exactly. And what happened was with that was it was like the night of the thing, I had so little sleep because I was trying to the campaign wasn't built until a couple hours before launching, and I totally forgot that I was going to have this Australian tier. So I was like, so I made another because it went the minute somebody buys something from one of these tiers, you can no longer adjust it. You can't add another market to ship to. You can't do anything else. It locks it in.
Locked in.
So that had happened. So I had to make the Down Under tier. So I made these real quick. And then we had friends from the Netherlands and like UK, and they were just like, I would really like to get this book, but the shipping is too much. Like, not saying you're overcharging, it's just, or the shipping right now is just terrible worldwide. And I was just like, I was like, all right, fine. We're going to fix this for everybody. I don't give a fuck. We'll eat shit on this one just to get people to like be able to enjoy this product. So I made another one after this Down Under, which is a little more global, which is the international. Yeah, so we have international and the black and white and color, and those also can have the books added on as add-ons, the extra stuff. So and of course stretch goals apply; they'll get those as well.
Now I want to ask you, and you are more than welcome to take a mulligan on this if it's not something you want to get into.
No,
but for some people, their opening tier is getting like the digital PDF version, which I mean is a solution for people who want to support the campaign and want to read the story, but don't want to pay ungodly shipping fees. So did you know from the start that you're like not doing digital? Was it something you debated? Was it a hard decision? Is it something that you're like, try it this campaign, maybe do it in a future campaign?
This is literally in the past 24 hours, I've been hammered about this. Like,
I'm not here to hammer you. I mean, honestly, Dan, I'm here to learn.
I know. Man, I'm not a digital comic reader guy. I don't like even if I have a digital copy of something, I've tried to look at stuff digitally. Just the viewing experience of looking at it on a tablet or computer, it's not good to me. Like I will take images like that I save off the internet and I will have them printed out and bound into books so that I have them that way. Like I have folders of 8.5 by 11 printouts that I have of images of reference material. Like, like for
your iPhone is a 3-ring binder.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a 3-ring binder. I just have folders like with images, and then I have some of these. There's these binders that have clear sheets that you can just slide them in.
Oh yeah, I got some.
I've got on the down low. I've got a ridiculous amount of Adam Hughes pencil stuff, like stuff that's not on the market. That I have friends that have bought like his sketchbooks, and they've gave me copies of pages. So I have like tons of that. I've got I got a whole box over there that's full of those. But that's for me, that's how I like looking at this stuff. So to me, the digital tier is just kind of like you're not really all in. But I don't know. I was talking to Billy today after getting hammered. Some old friends of ours from the old I'm trying to remember the guy's name right now. It's spacing me. I just know his handle is Hand of Sin on Instagram. He's a good friend of ours, and Hungers and everybody. Like he used to go to the get-togethers we used to do at the Carl's Jr. place, and I was just out having drinks with him last night and a bunch of other.
Jim Fish?
What's that?
Jim Fish?
It's not Jim Fish.
Oh, okay.
Different guy. I don't think he did anything with the APL primer or anything like that. I remember.
Now, you know what's funny? I've seen Henderson over. I've seen him on the videos hanging out. But dude, if you want to drop it in the comments, I didn't realize, unless we've talked offline separately about it, I didn't realize you were from the APL days.
He hasn't seen you since he was 16.
Okay, all right.
That's the last time. That's the last time he hung out with all those people. Like. Hunger all those people, but he stayed in communication through social media and stuff. And but yeah, like I just ran him last night. Like incredibly good artist now. Like I don't remember what his stuff looked like back then, but like he is like really freaking good. And I was talking to him because he's thinking about doing the same thing. And like a lot of us, he's kind of struggling with the day-to-day and like trying to figure out what makes sense financially to what to do. But yeah, he's talking about meeting up at San Diego. This is all like side stuff, but
Well, okay,
regardless,
I love the digression.
we're getting back to digital. So anyway, I was having drinks with him and this other group of artist friends of mine that I like kind of do the similar Carl's Jr. thing with, but now we do it at this restaurant over in Orange.
Mm-hmm.
And the one guy that kind of runs the group, his name is Kyle Roberts. He does a book called it's Frankenstein the Barbarian.
Oh, that sounds badass.
Oh, dude, you'd like this book. And he did another book before that, which was like an 80s throwback book to like Goonies and stuff like that, and Monster Squad, called Electronic Youth. And he's a really good draftsman too, like illustrator and comic creator. He's a high school art teacher as well. He was even asking me, he's like, so Dan, why not the digital tier, friend? I was like, I don't know, man, because I'm a Luddite. I like the physical media thing. Like I came over here to make books, not to make
zeros and ones.
Digital, yeah, like zeros and ones, you know. But Billy was even the colorist. He was talking to me about it today before I came on here, and he's like, you know, Dan, everybody keeps asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess maybe we'll add a digital tier, but it's going to be
always do it as an add-on later on.
It'll be the same price as the book, but without shipping, I guess.
Well, I mean, again, for me, I'm more interested in which you've completely answered. I was more interested in the thought process behind it, not so much about you feeling.
My thought process is this: like, I'm kind of like, in the sense of like, and this sounds dumb, in the sense of, but it's mentally, I guess, how I feel about it, like how I feel about art, how I feel about comics. I feel like it's a physical thing. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, I feel like the digital aspect of it is like, I mean, I guess my sister reads digital comics, but I'm just like, it's like I don't know. Like, I don't know about the visual thing of that. Like, there's a thing about having the thing in front of you, like, you're taking the time to look at that, like, you know what I mean? You're physically connecting with the art itself. Like, digitally, it's just in your tablet or whatever, and it's like, I guess for people like my buddy Billy, the colorist, he was saying, he's like, well, you know, Dan, the people that buy that, they may not have bought the physical, and they're probably were never going to buy the physical, but like, if you get them to buy the digital, then at least you got some money for them buying the digital. And like, you know, that is what it is, you know, like, so the idea of like, the people that are going to buy the physical are always going to be there to buy the physical. They're probably not going to get digital, but I'm kind of like a little bit like, you know, a little bit like Picasso or Basquiat about this, where I'm like, no, like, I'm creating art. Like this thing I'm creating in itself is the thing. Like, so what the book that I'm making, it is the work. Like, what we're seeing on here,
frame,
yeah,
the
what
art
we're
is the
seeing on
painting
here
that goes in the frame.
Yeah, everything you're seeing on here digitally, this is like a postcard to advertise the installation that people are going to go see. I'm going to deliver the installation to your home. You're going to have the, and this is going to say a lot, you're going to have the Da Vinci Monet exhibit in your home for as long as you like. That's what I'm delivering. I'm delivering the art installation to your home, which is the physical product of this thing. And I feel like the digital is just, it's literally like reading an article in a newspaper about the digital about the installation. Like, you didn't go to the art exhibit, you read about it in the paper. That's how I feel digital.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I get it.
I'm not saying you can't read the story and maybe get the same experience. Maybe you can. But I'm just saying, you're most likely, unless you're looking on a big flat screen at the art, you're never going to see this 2-page spread at the full size it needs to be to like take in what it is.
Hang on. Let me
on your device.
Let me solo you so that they can at least get a glimmer of what they're missing by not getting the physical book.
See, like something like this digitally just it doesn't read. It's a 2-page spread. I mean, you can, but it'll be like, there you go. There's your 2-page spread digitally. Here's your 2-page spread in the book. It's like in your face, you know? But I guess maybe if you're on your computer and you're looking at it, you're seeing like the whole thing on one of those, you know, like the big gaming streaming screens. I guess there maybe. I mean, but I don't know. And then you got the cover. The cover's a 2-page splash.
Let me see. Here we go. Oh, damn.
Yeah. And that's not going to read digitally. Like, just the cover. So, I mean, you're missing that.
It's funny because making comics that I have been selling digitally has it's led me to stop using double-page spreads. I still use splash pages, but I don't use double-page spreads.
But that's part of it, though, man. That's part of what makes comics cool is the double-page spread sometimes.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I think the thing that made me soften on digital comics was the last time that I moved, and I realized that I am reaching a cap on the amount of books and comics that my home can contain. I've really reached a cap to the point now where I'm trying to read old stuff that I've never got around to reading, or some books that I bought just because I wanted to read them. I'm trying to get through them so that I can get rid of them, either sell them or donate them. So that
Public storage is only $125 a month. You can get a good 9x10 unit.
But see, you know,
and like
once you unleash that werewolf, then it's like one storage container becomes 2 containers become 4.
Then you build a house out of cargo containers. How amazing is that?
I think my point was I softened on digital in the fact that I realized there's a lot of comics out there that I want to read but don't want to own. And that was what made me say, oh, okay.
Are we talking Marvel comics here? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm going to just say that there's a preponderance of books at the big 2.
I've got a bunch of books in my bathroom that I'm like, I think I'd be good without these.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that I read digitally. Like, I'll tell you, one of the books, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about that because that's giving somebody else some love. And this is about Goblin Girl. I was going to tell you a story about a physical book I ordered recently, but that's neither here nor there. So
the stuff that you and I are making, not that shit though, man. That's my point.
You know,
like,
what?
We're endeavoring to make stuff that people are going to want to reread or look at. Like, we're not trying to just make whatever.
True.
This isn't a monthly, like, whatever book. It's like, it's an art installation. It's like the thing. It's what comics used to be. Like, you know, like I have freaking, I know this is kind of off, but Marvel. I just ordered one of these. It's the Kroll movie comic #2. I only had the first one for whatever reason, but like the art in this is like fantastic.
Who drew it?
I want this physically. I don't want this digitally because just the smell of this book when it's opened is a time travel back to the 1980s when this was minted.
Well, I'll tell you, we've already got getting your back right there. My brother Trevor was just like, he said, Dan's making my physical art argument because I've decided, bless you, by the way, I've decided that I'm going to do my next comic. I'm drawing it digitally just because I want to see how it changes my workflow.
Yeah. I know lots of people do that. I have no problem with that. I'm just saying, like, the end product of the thing I'm making is that. Yes. And I like the only reason why I do my stuff by hand is because I the process of doing it is like it's like therapy. It's like sitting on the swing set. It's like riding the roller coaster. Like, the process of making the stuff is the entertainment for me. And I don't get as much of like the magical miracles by doing it digitally, because I worked in video games for 8 years, so I've done plenty of digital art. But
still,
yeah, the physical stuff to me is just funner, because like it's like sculpting or something like that, in a sense of like a 2D way. And sometimes when you're doing, hey, there's my lady.
Hey, Leah, how you doing?
Look at her. So it's part of the process of how I do my thing. I like watching the ink dry on the page, and then the page it takes on a new life. And most of the time lately, I'm lucky enough that after been doing this for like over 30 years, that I start to do stuff now that I kind of sit back and go, whoa, okay, whatever I did there, I hope I can remember how to do that next time, because wow, that came out better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I've done some pages where I was like, well, this is going to be the stinker in the book, and then it turns out to be one of the more like beautiful pages that I do, and I'm just like, what was I ever thinking? This page is really like nice looking. So
yeah, sometimes when you see it in print, when it reduces, you're just like,
and print's another thing. Yeah, it becomes a totally other thing when you see it in print with words, and they're all stacked together, and they got a nice shiny cover, and like it looks like a book. Like even these things that I was putting together like in a week, the Goblin Girl and the Kaiju book and everything.
Yes.
It's like, even this stuff, when I physically get this, I'm like, holy God, how cool is this? Like it's a real thing.
Well, you know what? Well, let's get through the rest of the tiers here, because believe it or not, we've already been talking for like 50 minutes. The time flies, man. We haven't hung out in such a long time. So
all right.
So the chest, it's got the T-shirt, it's got the color, the black and white. It's got an original art. What size is that original art sketch?
It is this size here. This is one of them.
Oh, yeah. Let me.
It's I think it's
9 by 12.
I could tell you exact numbers because it says on the Bristol board. It's 11 by 14.
That's a great. I mean, hell. It's worth it for that piece of art alone.
Yeah, so it's a Goblin Girl sketch, 11 by 14. I'm trying to basically mimic this. I've done like 3 of these so far. So I've got I think there's like 14 of them sold. So So
I will tell you, you're a super fast artist, so it's not that big a deal for you. But I will tell you, this tier, for those watching, an 11 by 14 original sketch for $160. That tier is worth that piece alone.
There's the other ones.
And the fact that you're giving that. Oh yeah, let me bring that up. But the fact that you've got the original art, you've got both versions of the book, a T-shirt,
they're pretty close,
and the old Goblin Girl. All of that's in the chest.
Yes, man, and then
you're really giving the farm away.
There's more than that, friend.
Oh, and there's a mystery item.
The mystery item. I can show you one of the mystery items. It's going to have a little parchment added to it with some like goblin text on it, but it's a physical Goblin King ring. It's made of metal. It will have a red gemstone in it.
What?
And there should be a size chart in there. I'm hoping everybody's filling that out. If not, then I'm going to have to message them all individually and see what ring size they have. But yeah, so we have that in there. There's going to be a sticker pack. I've got a bunch of character head sheets that we're going to probably turn into stickers. I have a new graphic that I was working on that I thought might make a cool like window sticker. That is I don't know where it went. Oh well, it was basically her, and she looks like she's pressing up against a window. And so I got that one, and then got some other stuff.
Kind of like the graphic that's on the shirt.
It's kind of like that, but it's more like she's like
smooshier.
She's gonna look smushed up against the glass. And so there's that. And then in that one, it has the drawing. It has an And then anything that we add on, like stretch goals, is going to have in there. We're going to have some trading cards in there. I think we're going to do an enamel pin that's going to be in that box. It's basically, I got the idea because Ethan Van Sciver, who does Cyberfrog, he's got a thing called the executive box, which is kind of like a subscription thing where like anything they add to the thing or anything new that they come up with, they think they can do, they'll put in there. So it's kind of like an all-in thing. This next one here that you're showing is the original art page, which we've sold 1 out of 10 so far, which means each person that orders one. Does David Bowie have the ring? David Bowie's character doesn't. That's a hefty chest. It is.
Trevor's just joshing on the fact that it's a touchstone to our Goblin Girl, is a touchstone to our classic 80s love.
Oh, that is true.
So yes, the original art tier, you can get actual
pages
from the book.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't know how many people, like, I really don't want to sell my pages, but some people said they wanted them, and I had to figure out what it was worth to me to sell a page, and to me, I was thinking probably around like $250. So this one here is getting you the page. It also gets you a copy of the black and white art edition of the book. And then you can add the color one or those other things on there as well. You can make a different tier out of it if you want. But if you're mainly just were into the line art, and I figured I would put the book in there as well because I thought it was a good way to marry the thing. Because you can't, this will have to be shipped separately from like the Goblin's chest or some of that other stuff. And yeah. So that's that version has to be done that way. So I was trying to set it up so that the page doesn't get ruined, and I knew it's going to be a different shipping manner to like ship it. So it's gonna be a little more expensive, but because I like to make sure the pages don't get damaged. But anyway, so that one will work. First come, first choose of the pages in the book.
And then we get to what you mentioned before about drawing the characters and
yeah, getting drawn into the book. I have 4 of those. There's only 2 left now, it appears. So there's a 2-page splash thing, which is a bar scene towards the end of the book. There isn't Goblin Girl isn't in these pages. There is a wizard character who's like a kind of like a card player guy who's in them. And he's in this. It's his introduction page, but it was the best spot to add multiple people to the storyline that as I have it built, because I didn't want to try and figure out like, I have to figure out how they would look as a goblin or something like that to put them in the.
That sounds like a goddamn pain in the ass. I think you were very smart.
Yeah, so I did this bar scene, which was pretty open, and I could put people in there, and they're not losing out because they're still getting a scene with Goblin Girl because they're going to be in the glossary thing, like the making up section on the back. And they're also getting that sheet of art with them with Goblin Girl that'll be hand drawn, like them and her and everything. And then most likely those characters probably will show up again later, so they'll have a chance potentially be with these other characters later, possibly. We'll just see where the story ends up. But I mean, I might, because I mean, if they're interesting enough in the page, what I do with them there, I may just hold them over. So we'll see. So it might be a tier that pays off yet again in the future without any further purchase. But
that keeps on giving.
Yes. So that's kind of what that one is. So I put a bunch in there. I was trying to keep it very simple as far as like what we were offering, so that it wasn't insane for people to be figuring out what they wanted to back and what I was going to offer, and also like not break my bank, as far as like having to make a bunch of extra stuff. Like there's
it looks to me, dude, like you are just giving away like the kitchen sink, the farm, and the farmer's daughter.
trying.
You figured it all out.
I have a 3D sculpt of a figure that I was thinking about putting on the campaign, as a mini, but I think it's probably going to go on the next thing we do. And then our friend Hand of Sin, the guy I was telling you about, he wants to sculpt a Goblin Girl statue that he would cast and everything, he says. So I'm going to look into that because he's a really good like style mimic. So we'll see what happens there. I was like, give it a shot, man. Like if you can make something cool and we can make us both money off of it and make it make sense, then let's do it. Like I'm open to all kinds of things.
I was gonna say, Billy's been hanging out in the chat. I want to definitely give a shout out here.
He has the link. He should pop in and talk about color work because I would say like I was going to cover this thing myself, but I met Billy, and when I first met Billy, I saw some of his color work and I thought it was good, but it stylistically didn't match what I was going for visually with it. So I was kind of like, yeah, I'm just gonna. I already have my other friend that I already had offered the job to somebody else who had colored everything I'd ever done already for any books that I ever put out. So I would already kind of offered it to him, and Billy's like, oh, I'd really like to do it. I was like, yeah. And he like sent me some of his work, and I was like, this is good. I'm all, but it's tonally even. It's not quite the style that I'm looking for this thing. And then like he started coloring some other stuff that I did for the Zaid Comics guy that was just here going, yo, yo, yo. I did a card that was like it was a throwback to the scene in Scarface where he's sitting at the nightclub with Michelle Pfeiffer. And so I did it with his characters or whatever. So it's like this kind of like magic Harry Potter meets Miami Vice book. So I decided like, oh, I'm going to make him look like Scarface with a fairy as the as his like little girlfriend or whatever, and make it look like the Michelle Pfeiffer character and kind of recreate this scene. And I did it as like kind of like a combination between Scarface and there's a scene in Miami Vice when the very beginning, I think it's like something like Calderon. I can't remember what the episode is, but they're at a nightclub and Crockett and everybody, they're like in the crowd, kind of like hiding in the shadows and like lights catching them. You can see them in the background. But so I did the same thing with the image on that. And then Billy colored it and like nailed it so heavily that I started to see what he could probably do. And then this buddy of mine who's a pinup artist guy does trading card sets. I'd been working with him for a while, and he wanted to do this adult comic as his first crowdfunder, but he didn't want to draw it because he doesn't see himself as a sequential guy. He's more of like a single image guy. So I was like, yeah, I guess I'll do it if you want it. I'm like, so he paid me to do this 24-page book, and drew the whole thing. Gray toned it and everything, and it was supposed to go up in October, September, but then he was waiting, like, because of Kickstarter. It's one of those books where like they'll get like a ton of people to do, variant covers, and he was waiting for all these guys that he paid money for variant covers to get done, and they were taking longer. So he's pushed the campaign to next year because he just doesn't want to try and like rush it out at the end of the year. But Billy colored the cover to that, and there's a second cover, like a nude variant cover thing that I did for it that he's also coloring. But when I saw that, I was like, for sure, like he could handle this. And then the guy that I had that was doing the coloring, he ended up getting nerve damage or whatever in his back. And he's just trying to finish these two obligations he has right now. But like, he can't even sit very long sometimes to draw. So it's like difficult. And so he kind of had to back out. And then Billy was just like, I was like, well,
I mean, the nice thing is you put us, I just wanted to jump in just to say that, like, the nice thing you did on your page is you're really showing off Billy's work here, because you've got the black and white art next, and then showing like Billy's beautiful rendering here. Yeah. And with fantasy, where he's got like color effects with magic, smoke, a lot of these different earth tones, but then also having like the brightly colored kind of her punk rock look of Goblin Girl and all the creatures. I mean, this is no easy feat, and he did a yeoman's job here. It looks awesome.
He did. He left that folded gum wrapper fucking unicorn like on the desk and was like, "Peace out." I was like, "Shit." And I was like, "Great, Billy. Now I got to go back and redo these pages that you threw these effects in." And then I was like, "Wait a minute. We're not going to do that. That'll make each book even more unique. That like the stuff he does is even more, you know." So it works out. But yeah, he does stuff with color visually that I would like to do, but I don't have like, I mean, I have somewhat patience doing color because I've done some before, but for me to do what he's doing here would take a long time. So he can do with color what I really can't in any sort of reasonable time. Like I would labor on to get one of these pages where he's got it. It would take me a good month and a half probably per page, and nobody wants to wait that long.
Well, that's the magic of a great collaboration. Now, your letterer Matt, did Matt do all the lettering also for the graphics that you have for the campaign page?
I did the graphics. Matt did all the typeset of all the lettering stuff, and he kind of laid it out on there. He's an amazing illustrator. He does storyboards for companies like ESPN and for like their graphical intros and stuff for their shows and stuff. He's worked on a lot of stuff. He's got his own book called Rock and Roll Ninja, which is I think it's in demand now, but it's still up, and it's awesome. It's like like Michael Golden like style, like Nam era, like Michael Golden looking like stuff. There's just like high energy, like detailed, like G.I. Joe action comics is what it is. It's like really
cool. Badass. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you should check that out. And Matt is an amazing dude. You should have him on as well, on his own to talk about his stuff, because I think you get along with him. He does a lot of like commercial design stuff. He's got these. He like one day he showed us. He was like, yeah, this is my business card for my graphic design work that I do, and he showed us this thing, and it looks like almost like an old timey ad that would be like in an old like creepy magazine or something, like stylized wise, but like everything on it, like the typeset, like everything is designed by him, and it's crazy. Like the thing is looks like an advertising thing, like he's advertising products or something, but if you read the stuff, he's not advertising products. What you're seeing, he's advertising himself as his skill set. So like the little illustration things are like graphical representations of like jobs and things that he's done before, like cartoon. It's wild looking, but like we saw that and we're like, holy fuck, that's amazing. And he did another thing that was a comic that was all done with iconography. So he told a monster tale of kind of like the Fly sort of type thing. But the whole story was told out with like things like, here's a little man, and here's another little man, and here's like a woman-shaped man, and then there's like a little guy over to the side, and it's like got like a gun next to him or whatever, and it's like using iconography, he told a whole science fiction story of like just using symbols. And it was amazing. And then at one point he was like, they were like, yeah, they're like, we really think your logo is good, Dan, but we really want you to be 100% on this. So let us redo your logo. And I was like, I don't know. And hey, there's American Discord.
Hey, thanks for swinging by. We're having a
yeah. Rage Tallies War. There's another good book. I have it right down here, actually. Let's see. Actually, I don't have Rage Tallies War right now. I have the preview book for it.
Spotlight it.
94, Volume 1 by Shelby Roberts, American Discord.
Nice.
But he's got the sequels out there, and I think you can get a catch-up version of that book if you were interested in it. It's basically 80s, late 80s, early 90s, like image type style stuff, but like squared, like you look at a lot of that stuff, you'd be like, oh, a couple of these pages or panels are great, but then there's some sort of filler looking stuff. It's like an entire book of like the great panels. Like he has the style like dialed in, like where he does the Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld sort of mingled sort of style thing. It's cool. But to get back to this,
right. Yes. So we're we're over an hour here. So let's bring it in for a landing.
Bring it in for a landing. Aren't we flying to Australia? This is a 12-hour tour.
We're gonna have to stop and refuel it somewhere in the South Pacific.
We still got to watch Schindler's List on this flight. Come on, man.
That's too much of a downer. Let's watch The Seventh Seal. But okay, so there's 7 days left in the
Waterworld, Ulysses Cut, or nothing.
Well, all right, so 7 days left. The books are coming, people, because it's already 197% funded. But definitely get in here. I say go for that chest tier because it's got everything.
It is. It is the value.
My closing topic, because I don't think it's something that's like an instant one answer question, but just what does fulfillment look like for you? Campaign ends, 7
April or June, but right now we're saying June.
Okay. So I mean, so it's one of those things where you press the button, send the books off to you still have to. There's a couple of pages you're finishing. So then after that, getting out the door to
correct
to the printer.
Yeah.
And while you're waiting for the books to be printed, I imagine you start jamming on commission sketches.
I'm already doing the sketches now. Like I said, I'm already starting on those. I'm trying to keep ahead on the sketches so that I don't get too far behind in that. Mm-hmm. I got other stuff I'm doing. I've got a big crossover book with Goblin Girl that I'm doing with another amazing creator named Rini Draws. If you haven't seen her stuff, it's amazing. It's like an anime fantasy book. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing a crossover thing with Fiendish, which is her book. It's going to be a two-parter that half will be on one of my campaigns and the other half of the story will be on one of her campaigns. So to get the whole story, you'll buy each half from each of us. And we're going to be talking more about that on her show next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
All right.
And then I've got my buddy, Absolute Entertainment, Jason of Unhinged Entertainment. I'm doing an Ashcan book, which is going to be like old school Ashcan floppy. So 8.5 folded over with a cardstock cover. Mm-hmm. This is the cover to it. It's going to have at the moment, a 6-page action story that's just a samurai and a werewolf taking out a bunch of stormtrooper looking dudes from his book.
Badass.
It's a section of the book he was going to draw, but then he decided to keep the page number down. He was just going to cut it out. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about ways to make his campaign go a little further. And I was like, well, I could do a pinup or a print or something like that. Then he gave me some money for that. And I was like, why don't I just do a little mini comic? So
see, that's what I love about you, Dan. You give and you give and you give. And
I try.
People are like, Dan, you've given too much. You're like, I got more in the tank, baby.
I do. I can go further.
All right, everybody. So for those who came a little bit late, the campaign, the Indiegogo campaign is live for the next 7 days. There's a link in the description to this the description for this video. There's also the first link in the chat. If you scroll all the way up to the top of the chat, the link is in there too.
Yep.
Definitely go check it out. Get in there. There's tons of great tiers. There's tiers with original art, tiers with pages from the book. So much great stuff. You can get a T-shirt with that chest tier. The fact, okay, just so I need to scroll down again, just so I can tell you, I did not know that this was a mouse pad.
That is going to be the mouse pad, yes.
When I first saw this, and the fact that her ample cleavage is the wrist rest.
Yes.
That is one of the most brilliant uses. Like that's grade A product design, my friend. Grade A.
Thank you.
And you're talking to somebody who's a toy designer.
I would like to take credit for that, but there's lots of Japanese guys that came up with it before I did. I'm just going, hey, I could do that too.
All right,
and make people happy.
All right, let me bring the screen in close so we can close it out. Is there any last things you want to share with the audience? Any message, anything you want anyone to know?
I don't know. Go go buy Morningstar. It's a great book.
Hey, thank you. I shill my shit every single
And go
week.
to
This is about Goblin Girl.
go to Jeremy's store. He's got lots of shirts and prints on there.
Stop it. There you go giving again.
Stuff.
There
He's
you go
got a
giving
Medusa
again.
piece that is absolutely fantastic. Like I did one, but then he did one, and I was like, he did it better. He wore it better.
You know what? Wait. So for those who are just watching, why don't you guys hop on to follow Dan on Instagram at boobdanart, and that way you can see all of those posts in the last few days of the campaigns. For you slackers there, you're gonna keep seeing all that dope ass art and be like, you know what? I thought I was gonna hold out. I can't hold out. I see how much he's given. I see there's gonna be so much stuff for the stretch goals.
I try, man.
Stickers and pins, all this other stuff.
I don't know, man. There's been I'll say this because this is good to say on your channel because I feel like both of us. I don't know if I represent any sort of side of any sort of fucking thing going on, but because I just try to be the guy in the middle that as I use the word friend everywhere I go. I'm known within the YouTube community. Somebody even was like one time like, oh wait a minute, you're the friend guy, and I was like, yes, I'm the friend guy. I try to like to just be friendly to everybody and want everybody to succeed. I don't care what you believe like about what people want to put in you or what you don't want to put in you or who you want to vote for or not vote for. I'm like you as the person. I take each individual person on an individual basis, and I want to see everybody succeed and be happy and enjoy things in life. And that's all I'm doing with what I'm creating is doing that. And I feel like if I have a message, I want more people just to like love more people and buy fun comics. That's what I'm trying to do. So
agreed. That is a message everyone can get.
Because there's a whole like divide of like, don't buy Indiegogo, those guys are awful Nazis, or don't buy Kickstarter, they're fucking gatekeeping fucking assholes. And it's like, well, I have friends in both places and I know them all and they're all kind of similar in their personalities, you know? So if anything, I guess on your show, I would say, let's just be nice to everybody and just, I don't know, be about the comics, like not so much.
Let's celebrate the stuff that brings us together.
Yes.
You know, we love cool shit, whether it's horror, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever genre of it. Cool, well-told stories and well-told art is what brings all of us together.
Yeah.
And so let's just celebrate that. No matter what other things, what other divisions and divides people might have, we all have stuff in common. We all have common ground. We all have things that we love.
Because there's been people in the chat here tonight even that like they're all over on all sides, and I think they're all here because they like you and I. So maybe we're the bridge of fun. We'll just keep it fun.
Bringing the love for comics. We're bringing people together. All right, folks. All right, so we're wrapping up. Dan, thanks so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me, man. Once again.
Yeah. Everyone out there watching, go back Dan Plegel's Goblin Girl. Sorry, Boob Girl. Goblin Girl on Indiegogo. That's it for now.
Don't want to miss out, friends. Back at today.
Go be creative.